This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Richard Conroy, the chairman of Conroy Gold, following an announcement that Conroy Gold and Demir Export have agreed for Demir Export to exit their joint venture, wherein Demir Export will receive a net smelter royalty capped at the total investment amount following commercial production. Now, it seems that from the RNS, you say, Richard, that you parted on good terms, which is obviously nice. It's always good for parties to separate ways on good terms. But could I ask, why would Demir sort of happily leave without demanding their 5.6 million or so back and be happy with a 2% NSR?
Well, first of all, they would have had to go a little bit further than that to exactly complete the terms of the first phase. But as you rightly mentioned, this has been a very amicable agreement between us. It means that from their point of view, the fairly substantial expenditure of over 5.5 million that they've given to the project will now go into a net smelter royalty, so that when commercial production begins, they'll get that 5.5 million back on a 2% capped net smelter royalty, which if we had agreed instead that they would have a percentage, whether 25% or a little bit less than that, the situation would have been that in order to maintain that percentage, they would, of course, have had to continue contributing to what is becoming a very, very major project indeed. So it's worked out very, very well for us. We've had 5.5 million to spend. We haven't had to raise it on the stock market. We don't have any interest to pay on it. And we don't need to pay it back until we're in commercial production. And even at that stage, it's capped, so one simply pays back at 2%, not an interest, but 2% NSR, pay back the monies that they've actually expended. So from that point of view, financially, it's very attractive. And from the point of view of going forward and bringing in a new major partner, it's also very attractive. And from our own point of view, of course, that money has been put to very good use with the second gold trend and all the other discoveries that we've made during the period. So we're very, 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 very comfortable with it. There's always a sense of sadness when a joint venture partnership comes to an end. And as I say, the geologists and other technical people working with us could ask more from them. Very pleasant people, very hardworking, very interested and enthusiastic. But now we must look forward to the future. We have some tremendous prospects, and they're, of course, much further advanced than they were when Demir Export came to us looking to do a deal with us. So we look forward to the future, and we're feeling very comfortable and very happy, other than the sadness that some very nice young geologists and so on will not be working with us over the coming years, but maybe some of them will come back to us.
Okay. Well, I mean, 5.6 million is, of course, it's a lot of money to go into exploration. I don't know how 5.6 million is for a company like Demir. I would imagine it's maybe not a ridiculously high sum of money, considering what kind of outfit that they are. But I mean, if it's not sort of good enough for Demir to continue going down the route, who would it be good enough for? You say you're looking for other parties here. If Demir have walked away,
I wouldn't quite put it that it's not good enough. I don't think anyone disputes the fact that having two gold trends, perhaps even in the financial circumstances in Turkey today, had we made an enormous bonanza discovery that could be developed within the next 6 months. But things don't happen that way. Perhaps they'd have looked at it slightly differently. But no, they have looked into this joint ventures. The first one outside. It's been a very, as I say, amicable one, and we've made a lot of progress. But I think they wish, understandably, to perhaps concentrate at this moment in time on projects within Turkey. And equally well, from our point of view, it's certainly it was a very good project, and we had many approaches apart from Demir Export. COVID made it difficult for some people to do site visits, but a number of major companies came on site visits and certainly indicated an interest. Now we're far further advanced, an extremely competitive position. If you can find any better projects of such size elsewhere in the world, do please let me know, but I don't think you'll find any. And one seeing the situation, for example, out in Canada, in a somewhat similar geology, but to nowhere near the same extent as we have, somewhat similar geology, and making very, very good progress, very exciting and very interesting for us. But nonetheless, the fact of the matter is we already, for quite a little time, have a minimum resource on one of our targets of over 500,000 ounces. I would absolutely agree that our share price in no way represents our asset value. One of these Canadian companies, which is, we would feel, and I think most people would agree, less than anything that we haven't even got a resource. And they have a market cap of over 700 million Canadian dollars. So there's a pretty big disparity. And I think we're now in a much better position to do something about that as people begin to realize the very, very enormous potential that we have with two gold trends and many targets within those trends, and with the price of gold going up over $2,000. So we're feeling very, very comfortable, and yet at the same time, I'm very happy that it's all been done on a very amicable basis.
Okay. So, I mean, what is the way forward then here? Because I know when we've spoken a lot in the past, the real aim was to bring in one or more gold mines. And I know it's probably been maybe 2 years, Demir Export, maybe not quite 2 years, but it's sort of be around that time that Demir have been working here. As I say, a lot of money's been put into the ground here. I mean, is it... the scale is huge. You've said that a lot before, and you can understand how the scale is huge. But it's also that maybe part of the problem. You said at least one of the targets there, 500,000 ounces on one area. So I mean, how realistic is it to mine half of Ireland versus sort of mining in getting into production on one particular area, maybe where the high grade is? So, I mean, is that perhaps the issue, do you think? It's almost too big to grasp by the market,
too big to grasp? Sheer size of it really is very daunting. Indeed, there's no doubt about that. We've already got some very good people working and some excellent consultants and so on. And so we're very comfortable that way, although we'd obviously welcome further personnel and input in due course. So we'll be looking at that. But I think it would be fair to say that we would have preferred, perhaps, to go ahead with Clonterbret. We think Clonterbret has enormous potential. It's becoming increasingly evident that it may be very similar to Fosterville in Australia. And I think, as you know, Fosterville is a very big gold mine, a very, very rich one indeed. And we would perhaps have preferred to have gone ahead and brought in a conventional pit mine at Clonterbret, got a cash flow going, established a mine in the region. We've brought in other mines in Ireland, as you know, Galmoy, which was the first time an Irish group brought in a mine. Then at that stage continued on with the development of a larger mine at Galmoy or of further mines elsewhere along the trends. that is where we would have put an emphasis. They put more emphasis on exploration, and very understandable, perhaps from their point of view, and it certainly worked out very well overall for us in the discoveries that have been made. But we might have approached it slightly differently, and we'll certainly be putting the emphasis now on bringing in
a mine. Okay. You mentioned about a comparison to Fosterville. I get that in terms of perhaps the scale of the resource in the ground, but what's the Ireland, Australia, very different places to do business. What is the actual reality of bringing in something the size of Fosterville at Clontibret?
No, there's no problem. We have one of the largest mines in the world, just a few miles south of us, in the Tara mines. It's literally in the town of Navan, and in the county of Monaghan, which is the one in which Clontibret is. Of course, you have one of the largest gypsum mines in the world. We will be maintaining the highest possible environmental and generally acceptable standards. We did that at Galmoy long before it had become quite as fashionable to talk about such matters. I have particular interest in birds and insisted that we do very detailed environmental studies on birds, migration, and so on before we even started Galmoy. And now today, Galmoy, Tara, and Lachine down the road from us, with whom Chevron are associated, they're quoted in textbooks as examples of modern mines in a developed country, which are very good mines and yet are totally acceptable environmentally. And that's what we'll be aiming to do at Clontibret and in the general area there. And we already work on that. We already have environmental studies in progress.
So what's the way forward then, Richard? I mean, you've had obviously DEMA supporting for 2 years now, providing a lot of the funds up front. Is that a slight concern in the first instance, the cash position of Conroy? No?
It's not. I would absolutely agree. It was
nice to have
to us for a third party to put in 5.5 million than for us to have gone out into the market seeking to raise 5.5 million over the last couple of years. But we know the attractiveness of the project. The various immediate major expenditure programs have been completed with the excellent results that we've seen. There will be further programs, but the emphasis, I think, there will in the first instance be directed towards the drilling programs, infill drilling, that sort of thing that's necessary to bring in a mine. And we will have that certainly as a priority in discussions that we have with the various parties who may be interested.
And do you need to get a party in before you can advance?
No. Various. We now are, it's only happened since yesterday afternoon, the final absolute completion of that stage, and it's also been a fairly rapid process of discussions and negotiations. We're now in a whole new situation in which we have the entirety, 100% of the area, 100% of the licenses, and we're totally free now for whatever discussions may emanate from this. And so we're looking at all the various aspects, but I must say it's very good indeed, and we're very happy with it.
So not looking to raise any time soon. I know inevitably one day, but
have to be raising money from time to time. That's a part of exploration life. But as I say, our emphasis is going to tend more towards now changing from an exploration company into a mining company, and that's a whole different ballgame.
Good. So you've had you've got interested parties on the phone, have you, Richard? How?
No, we haven't had interested parties on the phone, but we know we have a booth at the big mining exhibition in Toronto. And even at that stage, of course, this hadn't even begun to occur then. Even at that stage, we had various groups indicating that they might even be interested in coming in as a third partner. And indeed, we seriously, as I mentioned earlier, discussed that. So I think there'll be quite a few, I'm quite sure there'll be quite a few interested. But we have to decide ourselves, first of all, also what way do we go forward now? But I think our emphasis will be on mining rather than exploration. We know that we have trends. We know that we have some excellent results on them. We know that we have a number of good targets. Let's now start translating it into a cash flow.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Mining, exploration, translating into a cash flow. I like to hear these words, Richard. When would you like to express that to the market and the plans? Have you got a rough timeline of when you would like to be in a position to explain the next steps?
I think we're already stating it, even in the news release that we brought out in relation to the exit of Demir. We mentioned the fact that, the best of my recollection, that this would be our emphasis, and we'll certainly be building on that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time and the update today, Richard. Looking forward to seeing when you can formally announce something and how you plan to take this company forward into the miner, not the exploration company that Conroy has become. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.